Greetings, candidates, and welcome to the lesson. The subject is strategic management. Today we are going to study delegation of authority, and this delegation of authority is in the context of matching organizational structure to strategy. So in the relationship between strategy and structure, delegation of authority serves as the nervous system of the organization. That is to mean that it determines how power is distributed and where decisions are made. We recall we said in our earlier lessons that structure follows strategy. So when a company matches its structure to its strategy, the level of delegation is the most critical lever to pull, because the amount of authority delegated depends entirely on the firm's competitive approach. So we may have low delegation or high delegation, particularly in where you have centralization. So we may have centralization, for instance, centralization. So where there is centralization, under centralization, power is concentrated at the top. Authority is concentrated at the top level of management. And in such a scenario, we have low delegation. Under centralization, delegation is low because power is concentrated at the top level of management. And the best strategic fit for low delegation under centralization is cost leadership. Strategic fit is cost leadership. A company that adopts this strategy of cost leadership, then it has to concentrate authority at the top. And the logic is to maintain strict quality standards and minimize costs. Because if you are to delegate authority to the lower level managers, then you have to increase more posts and even create more centers of power. But when it is concentrated at the top, it is less expensive, which leads to cost leadership. That is the logic. The logic I'm repeating is to maintain strict quality standards, because you can only be a cost leader where your quality is high at the lowest cost. You understand? So decisions regarding budgets and processes must be uniform, and it can only be uniform when you are practicing centralization. A good example is a manufacturing firm, like say Bamburi Cement, which uses centralized authority to ensure operational safety and production efficiency across its plants. So that's centralization. Then number two, there is decentralization. Decentralization. Here there is high delegation. Authority is not concentrated at the top. No, authority is pushed down to lower level managers and frontline employees. So what is the best strategic fit? The best strategic fit here is differentiation, right? Differentiation strategy. If you want to do differentiation and innovation, then you have to decentralize authority. And what is the logic? The logic here is that innovation requires speed. And if an employee, say at Safaricom or a tech startup, has to wait for 5 levels of approach or approval to test a new software feature, then the company loses its competitive edge. So you have to decentralize authority so that the lower level managers do not need to seek approval at the top. No, you centralize authority, give employees, give the lower level managers, the middle level managers the power to make decisions And that is very important, especially if your strategy is that of innovation or differentiation, because it requires speed. You don't waste time when it comes to innovation. So these are very important aspects of delegation of authority in the context of matching organizational structure to strategy. You understand? Yes. So what are the benefits then? What are the benefits? What will be the benefits? What are the benefits of delegation of? Let's discuss the benefits and the risks. What are the benefits and the risks of delegation of authority in the context of matching strategy to, structure to strategy? Now, in corporate strategy candidates, delegation, as we have seen, is the process of shifting decision-making authority from the corporate parent down to business units or to front line managers. And while strategy directors may want to maintain total control, growth often makes delegation a necessity. As the company expands, then delegation of authority is inevitable. It is necessary, because if that does not happen, then there are certain risks that the company may face. But we need to understand that, on the other hand, delegation of authority may create what we call control gap that must be managed to ensure the units stay aligned with the overall goal. So what are the benefits of delegation? Benefits of delegation. Now, delegation candidates, first of all, is a primary driver of responsiveness and agility, especially in large organizations. So the first benefit is speed, is in relation to speed of decision making. Speed of decision making. In a centralized system, every decision must travel up the chain of command, but delegation allows for real-time responses. For example, a local branch manager, say at a bank, KCB Bank, Equity Bank, any bank, a local branch manager can approve a loan immediately based on local knowledge, rather than waiting for a committee at the headquarters in Nairobi. And the branch manager can make that decision because there is delegation of authority. So it enhances speed of decision making. Number two, there is the aspect of innovation or motivation. Let me say motivation and empowerment. Motivation and empowerment. Giving managers autonomy increases job satisfaction, and it also fosters a sense of ownership. It is a key tool for retaining high-level talent. That is very important when it comes to strategy, matching strategy to structure to strategy. Point number three, the third benefit is executive focus. It's in relation to executive focus. What does that mean? It means that delegation frees up the CEO's time. It frees up the strategy director's time to focus on high-level strategic moves, rather than getting bogged down in firefighting daily operational issues. Then number four is local market adaptation. Local market adaptation. How is it a benefit of delegation. Now, centralized strategies often fail because they don't account for local issues or matters. But delegation allows units to tweak the strategy a bit in order to fit their specific environment. But if it's a centralized system, then it becomes very rigid. But delegation allows the units or the branches to adapt to the environment easily. You understand? Yes, that is the first. This is local market adaptation. Then there is also the question of the risks of delegation. The risks, what are the risks of delegation? Risks. If there are benefits, then there ought to be also some risks. Now, the primary risk of delegation is strategic drift. That is the primary risk, where the various parts of the company start moving in different directions. That is the main disadvantage of delegating authority, right? And specifically, we have loss of control. That's the first risk of delegation of authority. Loss of control, or what we call the agency problem. Managers may prioritize the success of their own departments over the success of the whole company. For example, hiding losses or inflating budgets and so on. Then there is a risk or a disadvantage related to the brand or inconsistency. Inconsistency and brand, there's what we call brand dilution. Delegation can lead to brand dilution because if every unit or every branch has total freedom, then the customer experience becomes unpredictable. You can think of, say, a hotel. If a hotel that has branches, think of Hilton Hotel. There was a branch in Nairobi, I think it closed, but we have other Hilton hotels, okay, in other towns. So you can think of hotel or any hotel that has branches in different towns. If every hotel decided its own cleaning standards, the global brand, for example, of Hilton, would quickly lose its reputation for reliability. Because if I'm traveling to New York and I visit Hilton Hotel, I should have the same experience as the one in, say, Kampala or any other town. That's what we are calling brand dilution. Because of delegation of authority, which gives these managers the power to make their own decisions without having to consult the headquarters, that can lead to inconsistency and brand dilution. There is also duplication of effort. Delegation of authority can lead to duplication of effort because without a central oversight, two divisions might independently develop the same software or even target the same customer and thereby wasting resources. Can lead to duplication of effort. But if it was centralized, if there was a center, then, for example, when it comes to developing software, one software can be used in different units. Then lastly, we have sub-optimization. 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 A manager here might hit their specific key performance indicator by sacrificing something that hurts the rest of the firm. For example, lowering brand or product quality that the sales team then has to deal with. Sub-optimization. So these are 4 benefits and 4 risks of delegation authority in the context of matching organizational structure to strategy. And that's the end of our today's lesson on delegation of authority. Bye-bye.